Patience is a virtue. Good things come to those who wait. Patience is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. I'll admit, I Googled that last one. In the end, though, it's right. The fruit is indeed sweet. Or in this case, the guitar. I finally own a Gibson. Again. But brand new. This is my Gibson SG Junior. 1P90, all the tone, and that lovely Gibson aroma. But was it worth selling 6 guitars and an amp? That's what this thing cost me. Regular viewers of my channel know that I love Epiphones, right? It's a brand that's near and dear to my heart. I've had numerous Epiphones since the inception of this channel and even before that. But I also love me some good Gibson action from time to time. Regular viewers of my channel also know that I'm a sucker for P90 pickups. I was in a shop recently and I saw this thing hanging on the wall, and I knew immediately that I at least had to play it. What you may not know, and this is kind of what helped justify this purchase and just kind of put it in stone, is that one of my dream guitars has always been a Gibson SG Junior. And if you aren't sure what I'm talking about, again, I did own a Gibson at one point before this. It was probably about a year and a half ago. I had just started this channel and I did put a little video of me up playing it. It was about a minute long. It wasn't really anything formal like I do now, but it was a 2015 Gibson Les Paul Studio. It was the first Gibson I'd ever bought. I bought it used and I really didn't like it. It was a 2015, so anyone that kind of knows what was going on around that time at Gibson, they made the fretboards really, really wide, and I didn't like it, and a lot of people didn't like it. It just wasn't very good. It felt weird in the hand. It really just didn't feel like what you'd expect when you pick up a Gibson, especially if you were kind of already familiar with what a Gibson kind of should feel like. Either way, it really wasn't my cup of tea, and it really put me off from buying a new Gibson for quite some time. Now, obviously, with Gibson, it's hit or miss, right? There are numerous videos online talking about people's experience with them, and one video in particular comes to mind.
So, hey, great job, Gibson.
But I want to go ahead and say this after making that point. I'm not saying that those people are wrong, and I'm not defending Gibson. People who spend that kind of cash absolutely should be critical about what they receive, good or bad. And with a company like Gibson, you would think that their quality assurance would be top-notch, the best that you can get. And I know things slip through the cracks, but apparently it's a pretty big crack at Gibson. Coming back to this though, this is an example of Gibson getting it right. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at the specs on this thing. So let's go ahead and start at the headstock. We have the beautiful open book kind of design at the top there that has caused many a lawsuit. The Gibson name proudly displayed at the top. You may notice that we're missing the SG crown. To me, that fits the minimalist look of the whole guitar as is. I really like the fact that the crown is not there. If I was buying a full-fledged SG with the trapezoid inlays and all that stuff, I mean, I would want the crown, but you know. Flipping over to the back, we have these Clouson style Gibson Deluxe tuners with the white knobs as opposed to the tulip knobs. This is pretty standard across the board as far as Juniors go, Gibson or Epiphone. You're gonna get these Clouson style tuners with the white knobs as opposed to the tulip knobs, I would say 9 times out of 10, if not every time. Graphtec nut on the front here. It's cut pretty well. It really, really does help with the the infamous string break issue here, where the string breaks and causes it to bind in the nut. I'll tell you that the Graphtec nut does help. So while we're still up here, before we get down to the rest of the guitar and everything, going back to the quality assurance thing, This is not a deal breaker for me. It may be for you. I want to point it out. Finish flaw here, it looks like a scuff mark underneath the finish, which is pretty much what all of these are, just kind of going forward. I'm just pointing out where I see them. Down here by the 3rd fret, there's another scuff under the finish. On the back of the neck here, there's another scuff under the finish. Right here, you can see it a lot better right here. I can see it. There's a scuff right there by the 4th fret on the fingerboard under the finish. Kind of jumping ahead here, but I'm working my way down here to show you some more. Right here on the lower horn, there is a scuff under the finish. Along the contour of the body here, another scuff. That one's pretty big. And along the contour here, another tiny little scuff mark. Anyway, back on track here. Let's go down to the neck and the fingerboard. Rosewood fingerboard, 22 medium jumbo frets, dot inlays. Again, I'm a proponent of having the trapezoid inlays, but the dots just fit the aesthetic. Mahogany neck, finished in nitrocellulose, so it's gonna wear very nicely over time. The more you play it, the more smooth it'll get, essentially. The neck profile is like a weird in-between of a 50s and 60s. It's kind of chunky, but it's not super duper thin. You kind of have to pick one up and play it to see what I'm talking about, but I really like it. That was a big selling point for me. It's also an unbound fingerboard, so there's no binding on the side here. A lot of people would expect that there would be a lot of fret sprout on this one. The frets are perfect. Working our way down to the body, it's the beautiful SG shape that we've all come to know and love, finished in this kind of vintage cherry. Love that. The body is also finished in nitrocellulose, so it will wear over time, and that's also where you get that Gibson aroma from. We have our Junior pick guard here. Looks a little different than what you'd expect to see on an SG. Single dog ear P90. This thing has a lot of bark to it. Ha ha ha. But for real though, it does sound really good. One volume, one tone. That's all you need. You'll learn really, really quickly how to use that tone knob to get that that faux neck sound. But the response on this is really, really good. Like you turn that tone knob just a little bit or that volume knob just a little bit. It's really nice. They are CTS pods, so wrap around tailpiece here. I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with these. This is the first guitar that I've ever owned with a wraparound tailpiece. The only adjustment that you can make are these 2 screws on the side that basically just raises and lowers the action. I did have to lower the treble side quite a bit when I got this because it was not set up from the factory. I didn't have to touch the truss rod, so there's that. But just be aware that if your action is really high, just lower one of these screws depending on which side it's on, and it should fix the problem. It's also a compensated tailpiece, which means these little saddles here where the string rests on top of the tailpiece are compensated to help with the intonation past the 12th fret. Now that we've kind of looked at the guitar, there's the case. I'll just kind of go through the case really quick. It's a beautiful brown Gibson case. You saw it in the intro there. It's got this beautiful red interior. And the little hidey hole here, you get a leather Gibson strap. There's a photo of when the guitar was finished in the factory. There's a checklist of when the guitar was inspected, I guess, before it left the factory. And then in this bag, you get a multi-tool for adjustments, you get a warranty card, user manual, all that kind of stuff. And there you have it. That's pretty much all I got to say about the SG Junior. Aside from the couple of cosmetic things that I showed you earlier, I mean, that was not a deal breaker for me at all. It may be for you, but again, I point those out to show you just so you kind of know what to look for and kind of what I was talking about with the QA issues. So I want to round this whole video off by answering the question that I posed at the beginning of the video. Was it worth selling 6 of my guitars and an amp for this one guitar? And I think the answer to that question is highly subjective. For me to answer it, because that's ultimately what we're here for, I think absolutely that it was. This is an amazing, amazing guitar. I love it, and it's something that I've wanted for a long time, and I was able to trade off a lot of what I had to get it. You, on the other hand, may like those 6 guitars that you had, and I loved them. I mean, it's not that I didn't trade them because I hated them. I traded them because I knew what their value was, and I knew that I could get this. To each his own, you know, do what you want to do, but I think that it was well worth it. So there you go. There's the video. There's the SG Junior. I hope you like the new video format. If you're a returning viewer, if not, I'm changing my format a little bit just to test it out. But if you like the video, hey, make sure you subscribe, make sure you give the video a like, hit the bell notification, all that stuff. Check the links in the description if you want to go and pick one of these up or purchase any merch, anything like that. And I'll see you next time.